a world does not exist in which we can go on without talking about the Stephen A. Smith LeBron thing. I saw our guy Steve Jones Jr., friend of the program, part of the Grammy nominated, because there's an original song on there. If you guys remember my singing on it, Grammy nominated, Oscar nominated documentary published on this channel about the Luka Doncic trade. Steve Jones Jr. was on it. He tweeted out something, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you can go find it on his timeline. This interesting sort of dynamic we've now found ourselves in when it comes to basketball talk, especially online, where you have the ESPN sensationalized side of it, right, where they're just spewing nonsense and a lot of times just kind of spewing negativity about the game. And now you've had the other side who's focused on the positive sides of it, just likes talking about it, likes talking about the games. That's now felt like they have to combat the other side. And basically, in a roundabout way, the entirety of discourse surrounding the league has just turned into this ongoing fight. And that it's not productive. In which case, I do agree, right? I agree with him there. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, if we're talking about the NBA, and look, you guys don't come here for any X's and O's type of shit. Okay. I don't make shit like that, and I will not make shit like that. I've tried in the past. It's not happening. Okay. So we just talk about the league, the vibes. Like, we just have fun here, right? Just talk about fun stuff from across the league. In that sense, obviously, we have to talk about LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith having this fucking ongoing feud. It's pretty hard to ignore it. You're talking about, in my opinion, the greatest player of all time, having this ongoing feud with this incredible public-facing figure in Stephen A. Smith, and there being endless barrages of just insane quote after insane quote after insane quote. It's pretty impossible to ignore. I agreed. Let's not talk about this, bro. I've done a good job avoiding this. I'm sorry. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it because it's important and it matters. So I want to say this. Congratulations. Congratulations to ESPN and congratulations to Stephen A. Smith. They've done it. They've won. They have won. It's an unfortunate situation for LeBron to be in because you can't win either way. Either these guys talk about me endlessly and I just kind of let them do it and it's shitty and maybe they make stuff up about me or they say things that are incorrect about me and I ignore it and I don't correct it. Or I do correct it. I do say something about it. And now I've given them attention and now it's, they have a week-long cycle about it. It's important because this is a perfect encapsulation of what ESPN's become. And it's important because ESPN dictates what we talk about sports. ESPN is a worldwide leader of sports, right? So it's important on that front. This is what ESPN does now. It's what they used to do in the past, but they used to do it with sports. But now they just do it with their personalities. It used to be in the sports. And there's been articles written about this, really good articles. It used to be in sports. What they would do is they're a 24-hour station. And it's difficult to keep programming going for 24 hours. So what do? They bring on somebody on one of their fucking shows. They say something batshit insane. And then they spend a week talking about, on their other shows, talking about the insane takes that somebody said on their network. So they can they have this self-sustained news cycle where, hey, let's just bring on this guy, have him say, you know what? I think the Cowboys should trade Dak Prescott to the Cleveland Browns for the second overall pick. And everyone can be like, what the hell? And now we can spend the next week talking about this. Is it a real news story? No, it's not. Is there any chance it happens? No. But we have just out of thin air generated a news story that we can now cover for the next week. Plus, we can have experts on. We can have local Dallas reporters on to talk about it. Like, we've won, right? We did it. But that has sort of changed now to where we've seen them say goodbye to shows. We've seen them fire a lot of the We've seen them fire a lot of the journalists and analysts that we really like. You know, they say goodbye to Zach Lowe. They've said goodbye to other people. Pardon the interruption, right? PTI is the one that's gone. No, Around the Horn is now gone. Axe, one of the favorite shows on the network, a timeless show, gone. ESPN has fallen in love with Stephen A. Smith. And it's not Stephen A. Smith's fault. Because he's incredible at what he does. He is. He's incredible. Stephen A. Smith got to a point where LeBron James was face-to-face with him courtside. Do you realize how fucking insane that is? Stephen A. Smith got to a point where LeBron James was courtside face-to-face with him in an aggressive manner. The Stephen A. Smith-LeBron feud reached such a point that now ESPN gets LeBron James to go on their second biggest, I'm assuming First Take's their biggest show, goes on their second biggest show, the Pat McAfee show, for an hour to sit there and talk about how annoying all of these journalists are. Journalists who work for ESPN, mind you. So he's going on the ESPN, one of ESPN's flagship shows, and shitting on ESPN journalists. Calling Windhorse, you know, has Wendy ever said him and LeBron are best friends? I don't listen to a lot of Wendy stuff. When things were going really good for the Mavs, and any basketball content I could get, I would listen to the Hoop Collective. I never got the impression that Windhorse thought him and LeBron were best friends. Never got that impression. This conversation is essentially trading Dak to the Browns. You're better than this. This is real WrestleMania, and you are falling for it. It's important for me because I'm leading to a point, guys. Just let me get there. That this is where ESPN has gone. ESPN has won. This is their new strategy. It's working. They have completely and totally pulled the plug on sports. They've completely and totally pulled the plug on sports. So we have LeBron going on the Pat McAfee show. He shits on Stephen A. Smith. How does First Take start yesterday? First Take starts yesterday. Stephen A. Smith has a 20-minute monologue. 20-minute monologue about LeBron James, in which he lies about LeBron James not being at Kobe Bryant's memorial. Pretty fucked up thing to say, honestly. Says that he wasn't at Dwayne Wade's jersey retirement. Is that what it was? Or statue unveiling. Mind you, this was weeks after Bronny suffered cardiac arrest. So another pretty fucked up thing to say. Also says that he would have swung on LeBron James. This is what it's all about now. This is the norm now. This is what ESPN is. They have ditched sports. They have ditched talking about sports even, and have decided, okay, you know what? Stephen A. Smith, you're incredibly popular. You're the face of this now. And by the way, can we talk about the fact that, can you imagine, and I was trying to think, would Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James getting into a physical scuffle courtside be the funniest event of the last 50 years, the saddest event, the most embarrassing? What would it have been? Personally, I think it would have been the funniest event of the last 20 years. I mean, can you imagine LeBron and Stephen A. Smith's fighting courtside? Oh, man. Come on. Can you imagine how fucking funny that would have been? But anyways, I mean, they won. It doesn't matter. And now everyone's like, Stephen A. Smith lied. Stephen A. Smith lied. It doesn't matter. ESPN won. They won. They succeeded. This whole thing has turned into a huge fiasco. Now you're tuning in to First Take. I got to see what Stephen A. Smith says. And Stephen A. Smith lies about the Kobe thing. Okay, well, now I got to turn First Take today to see what Stephen A. Smith says about this. It sucks. Worse than Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. So in my sports brain, I'd say absolutely. LeBron James getting into a physical altercation with Stephen A. Smith would absolutely be bigger than Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Surely. right? Now, I don't know, because I very much overestimate the popularity of sports and underestimate the popularity of other celebrities. Like, I long thought, and you guys tell me what you think about this, because I've gotten in arguments about this, in an airport. Who would draw the bigger crowd in just an airport setting if they were just walking? Taylor Swift or LeBron James? I long said LeBron. But I'm like the only person who says that. Easily T Swift, Taylor. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking I'm wrong. I don't know. LeBron is like so popular though. See, I think it'd be close. I think it'd be interesting. The question was, if you're in an airport and LeBron and Taylor Swift are there for some reason, who's drawing the bigger crowd? Taylor Jenkins? Yeah. Also, Swift stands are more likely to make a fool of themselves in an airport. LeBron is the only U.S. athlete to come close to that pool in a long time, though. That's what I'm saying. I think it'll be close. I think it would be close. But again, maybe you see that's the problem. Is I think I vastly overestimate the stardom of celebrity or the celebrity of athletes versus other celebrities. So, anyways, I'm saying this. ESPN's incredibly good at this, and it's a real fucking shame because they did used to be pretty good at the sports stuff. They made really interesting sports documentaries. They had really interesting like weekly sports shows that sort of dove deep into topics and interesting topics and controversial topics. They had, I still see SportsCenter from time to time. It's fine. But they had, dedicated shows to certain sports that went beyond just like NBA Today is fucking garbage. It pops up from time to time. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. You got Kendrick Perkins on there doing his best Stephen A. Smith impersonation for 30 minutes. Like, it's absolute dog shit. It's an atrocious program. But used to have like those dedicated sports shows that kind of went pretty deep into their respective leagues. That was cool. But ESPN's gotten really good at this. It's this self-sustained content cycle. We just roll Stephen A. Smith out there. That's why I pay him $100 million. Roll Stephen Smith out there. Tell him, go say some outlandish shit. And now we're getting a bunch of reactions to that. And now for the next week or 2 weeks, we have this controversy that we just started to go off of. And it's working. It works. We can sit here and be like, oh, come on, don't fall for this, don't do it. But it works. Look around. It's the biggest story from the last week. It's just crazy. And I think, so one of the things I've seen to this, and I've gone back and forth on this, is this idea like, oh, they need to have more X and O's type of shows. They need to have more, get that, like, this, like, let's dive deep into the plays. Let's dive deep into the strategy and stuff like that. I think there's definitely a pretty strong niche for things like that. And I think there's a world where ESPN could put out like a weekly show or something that does that, and it could do decently well. But I think by and large, the average audience does not want that. But I think there's a world where you could do hey, sports are fun. Like we're sports are supposed to be fun. It's a game. We're supposed to have fun talking about sports. Well, we could do it in a fun, lighthearted manner. It could be funny. We can talk about the games. We can talk about stuff that we've seen, but do it in a manner that's entertaining. That's what I try to do here. And it's still be focused around the sports versus where it's at now at ESPN, where it's just purely focused around the personalities. And there's only one Stephen A. Smith. That's it. He is one of one. He's incredible. He's fucking really good at what he does. There's only one of them. But the problem is ESPN has just turned everybody else into Stephen A. Smith, and they're all terrible at it. Like, I cannot believe Kendrick Perkins has the presence he has. He's awful. I mean, God bless him. He's horrible on TV. He's actually terrible. He is horrendous on TV. It's bad. He's not entertaining. He does not articulate very well. He's difficult to understand him sometimes. It's just shocking. Like, how is this guy like the face of their NBA coverage now? What the fuck happened? It's because he goes on there every night and does his Stephen A. Smith impersonation, and he's horrible at it. But it doesn't matter because he says stupid ass shit, and then we talk about it for the next 2 weeks. This is why, like, at times, we'll be talking about stuff, and then people will be like, "Do you see what Kendrick Perkins had to say about Luka or whatever?" I remember this happened a lot last year, and I just be like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care at all. Stephen A. Smith is like Kendrick Perkins hasn't reached a Stephen A. Smith level. Kendrick Perkins can say things that people don't really care. We'll just point and laugh at him. But that's kind of like ESPN's turned him into a lolcow. Where Stephen A. Smith can go out there and now all of a sudden he's threatening to fight LeBron James, and LeBron James is spending a week talking about it. Like that's where we're at. And I went back and I looked. I made my New Year's predictions stream. I went back and I looked. One of my predictions was Stephen A. Smith would leave ESPN and go straight into politics and work at Fox News. Now, he signed a $100 million contract. He's not leaving ESPN. But he's going into politics. I promise you that. He's going into politics. And I don't think it's going to be for the Democratic Party. I do not think it would be. He's saying it now. I'm looking at the LeBron stuff a little bit differently. Trying to win over a crowd. He tries to blend Shaq and Stephen A. Smith commentary, and they call him NBA champ Perk. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This unironically hurts his polling with young people, though. I'm telling you, a world in which Stephen A. Smith is a presidential candidate in 2028 is really not outlandish. That's where we are. It's really not outlandish. I don't see a world where he shifts to conservative. Let's see how the next 3 years go. Let's see if there maybe wants to be a tonal shift. I'm literally just imagining Stephen A. Smith running for president. Honest to God, I think it could happen. 2028 is going to be a fucking disaster. I'm telling you right now. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is on the table. Who else? I think Cuban's too old at this point, honestly. But I'm trying to think of younger celebs. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's absolutely on the table. Think about Clooney's on the table. Like, I think that's the level that we're going to be reaching in the next few years. Just being dead honest with you.